FIGFA was founded in 1938 and became a member of FIFA in 1963. According to history of football or soccer, which was played in Fiji before 1938, the European contracts and settlers that led to Fiji's secession to Britain on 10th October 1874 initially started football in Fiji and especially in Levuka.
This time out to pay tribute to all those people who are no longer with us, but hand in hand in establishing Fiji FAA then in 1938 when resources and time were quite scarce. Over time, we had seen a change in leadership of the institution. Institutions make a difference to the growth and development of any country. It is institutions that determine the state of the country, the state of development of the country, state of governance, state of the economy, state of the social scenario in a particular country. If every institution is able to do its job, then we will be able to deliver onto the vision of the country that we at the government would want to have. Any institution which is not living up to its expectation or is not living up to what is expected by the rank and file, it has an effect on government's ability to deliver onto the developmental goals that we have. Ladies and gentlemen, I must say that Fiji FA has up to date done a remarkably good job in terms of contributing towards development of this particular industry, the football, which is a subset of the bigger sporting industry in Fiji. Having its own challenges, despite that, Fiji FA has done a reasonably good job in a small developing country like Fiji, where resources are not that found in that abundance. Also to note that the current leadership has made enormous development changes with respect to football in the country. I was just talking to the president earlier this morning about the development of another academy in the Northern Division, which is basically to cater for and look after the children in the Northern Division, not only children but also other lovers of football and other sports in the Northern Division. So again, ladies and gentlemen, institutions matter. Our ability to respond to society's need to develop new institutions or remodel or restructure institutions is very critical. The global world is changing rapidly, hence we need to ensure that we live up to the demands of the global world in terms of reforming, restructuring, or re-engineering existing institutions. If you examine closely Fiji FA over the last 4 decades, it has also, in its own pace, made changes to its institutional structures to see how it could cope up with the demands of the global market with respect to football in particular. And this is the norm, is that every institution must continuously examine developments in the global arena and how developments are shaping up in the local arena and how the institution can make changes to respond to. And this is the responsibility of a CEO. The difference between a CEO and a manager is that a CEO is a risk taker. A CEO continuously examines the existing market but would want to be in line with the requirements of the changes in the market, whereas the manager will just manage the scenario, manage the institution. But a CEO has to be on the cutting edge. Unless and until a CEO is on the cutting edge or reads and examines the frontier knowledge, the firm or the industry will remain stagnant and will eventually exit the market. So I want to thank the leaders of PGFA for living up to the challenge of continuously questioning the existing body of knowledge, continuously challenging some of the issues and problems that they are facing to find solutions. often people will come up with problems. But we need to also ask them to suggest alternatives, which needs to be interrogated by the leadership, by the top cadre of the institution, to see how we can provide solutions to the problems and challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, sports is no longer a backyard activity. Sports is becoming an industry. To me, sports is an industry in Fiji, and football is a subset of that particular industry. I would say football is probably number 2 in Fiji, if not number 1, number 2 in Fiji. And we cannot treat sports the way we used to treat sports some 3 decades ago, as a leisure activity, as something which we devote our leftover time. I think this sports requires equal amount of time, attention and resource to be developed. It has played a very important role in the overall growth and development of Fiji. Sports has an amazing effect in terms of creating demand through its factor market. Why do we have a consortium here? Why do we have CJ Patel here? Why do we have Vodafone here? This amazing linkage, backward linkage, that this industry, not only football, not only rugby, the entire sporting industry has, what gets people to come forward and link or hook it up with the sporting industries. Recently, we had the golf tournament in the Western Division, and government spent quite a bit of money to host that. But that money, that investment is a fraction of what Fiji gained by hosting that particular tournament. Sports in the international market has become a major ambassador of small developing countries. Sports is utilized by countries smartly to market the country, market different industries in the country, market the tourism industry. The tourism industry has benefited immensely from our sporting sector. How much the tourism industry has in return contributed to the various developed sporting bodies in Fiji is a question, and something that the sporting bodies, the Fiji Rugby Union, the Fiji Football Association, should examine in detail and put it on the table to some of these industries which are utilizing the products coming out of the Rugby Union, the Fiji Football Association, or all the other sporting bodies, to market their products and how much they're paying back to the respective bodies, while they're using the product of these bodies, which has been developed by these bodies, how much of resources are given back to these bodies. That is something that needs to be examined in detail. Ladies and gentlemen, sports as the philosophy that you have launched has an amazing impact on unifying people. It does not discriminate between gender, does not discriminate between ethnicity, does not discriminate between what religious belief you hold, does not discriminate between what class or caste system you belong to. And I want to thank the leadership of Fiji Football Association for launching this philosophy. Organizations have used sports for a number of purposes. Still, you will see organizations are using sports for political activities. Sporting has been utilized to gather people using sporting activities to pass on the message that they would want to. Sporting activities has been utilized for religious purposes, to gather the masses behind the sporting activity and do the preaching. Sporting has been utilized very effectively by business sector, firms, to market the product. I've been telling some of my colleagues in the ministry. Why do Coca-Cola have games, sponsor games to our children? It is because the children represents a generation, and for them to come and sponsor game of our children is to capture the taste bud, and once they are able to capture the taste bud, they've captured the generation. Sports have been utilized for social gatherings, cross-fertilization of ideas, and the amazing effect sporting activities has in terms of gathering people and allowing them to cross-fertilize ideas from different backgrounds, different beliefs, different expertise, different schools of thought. Sporting has also been used for institutions and firms to organize end-of-year winding down activities. Ladies and gentlemen, in the Ministry of Education, there's a major shift with respect to the paradigm of building a knowledge-based society that our government, the Bainimarama government, is moving towards to deliver onto. Initially, we were based on the paradigm of teaching, but education is much more than teaching. Education is about building future citizens of the country. We have in the ministry, in our custody, children from age 5 to about 18. This is the most receptive age of a child. They are hungry for knowledge. Any information you give them, they will take it. They'll take it as gospel truth. Hence, onus is on us, the Ministry of Education, to ensure that we churn out a product that will fit in well in the society. Children who are well developed. For mental fitness, we require the children to also be physically fit. Ladies and gentlemen, sporting activities assist us in building better citizens in the country through building physical fitness and therefore mental fitness. Ladies and gentlemen, in the Ministry of Education, we are at the moment embarking on developing a strategy where we look at how we will ensure that every child participates actively in some kind of sporting activity. We are worried when we see in schools during the physical education hours, some children are still locked up in the classroom. We are saying that we can find some activity, some outdoor physical activity that will meet the demand, requirement, or desire of that particular child. It doesn't have to be soccer, it doesn't have to be rugby, but there can be some activity, whether it's bowling, some activity that could meet the requirement of the child so that the child engages in physical activity. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of the cases of NCDs we witness today out in the society can be to some degree attributed to our inability to inculcate importance of physical fitness and training amongst the children that we have in our custody in the school system. As I said earlier on, that we have these children in our custody from ages 5 to 18. Why can't, one, we mold them and the mindset to think about importance of physical fitness? Why can't we make them physically fit from ages 5 to 18 when they are in our custody? And I was saying to someone a few months back that the child's active hours in a day is from 7 a.m. to about 8 p.m. But most of the time, the child is with us in the school system. And therefore, we have a much greater responsibility about molding the child than just teaching. We need to educate the child. And education is much more than just classroom teaching. And ladies and gentlemen, we need to work closely with all the stakeholders to deliver onto the kind of product that we want to be delivered out of the school system, and also the kind of product the society is expecting from us, the business sector is expecting from us. They want physically fit people, mentally fit, mentally sharp, critical thinkers, those who will come and question and push the frontier in their firms and businesses, not those who will come and be a template-driven graduate. They want someone who will come and make a difference, question and contribute towards a new way of doing business so that the firm can remain in the frontier, in the cutting edge. Ladies and gentlemen, with these words, it's my pleasure to join hands with the leadership of the Fiji FA here to launch your philosophy, which is very timely as well as truly reflects the true spirit of football and sports in general in Fiji. Thank you, Nakan.